the story we were telling you yesterday. So you recall, yeah, you heard the story yesterday, part one. We're just painting the scene. This is in Parking at the DP, Displaced Persons Camp in Germany, one of the largest in Europe. There were many thousands of Yidden, and there were Lubavitchers there, and they made yeshiva there. For a couple of years they were there, till people then went to different parts of the world and so on. So there was the FARBRENGEN Matzoi Shavuos. I told you the three great Chassidim were FARBRENGEN there. Reb Nissen Nemenov, Reb Shlomo Chaim Kesselman. Reb Nissen FARBRENGEN with the older Bachrim. Reb Shlomo Chaim Kesselman, you remember him? No.
I remember him, I know of him.
You know of him. So he FARBRENGEN with the younger Bachrim. As I said yesterday, he had a special talent, B'chlal, for the Bachrim, especially the younger ones, to inspire. He was a master mechanech. And then Reb Nis Peretz Mochkin was not officially Mashpia. They were Mashpiyim. That was there. Reb Nis ended up in Paris. I started yeshiva in Brunois. And this is before all of this was established. And Shlomo Chaim became the Mashpia in Kfar Chabad. But they were Mashpiyim already in Russia, in the various underground yeshivas, underground. So the Peretz is FARBRENGEN with the Balabatim. He wasn't an official Mashpiyim, but so he FARBRENGEN. That's how it was divided. So you see, I'm just reading it. The Peretz was, those who remember him here in Montreal, of course, Mordechai remembers the Peretz very well, right? He was, as they say, a peh mapik margolius, it's an expression, a mouth that produces pearls. He was a very rich, broad, rich chassid. His FARBRENGENs were here's a beautiful description of his FARBRENGENs once written up. At any rate, so what was his FARBRENGEN? So I'm going to tell you, his FARBRENGEN was, he was singing a whole night, Shvuosana lo Shavuos. Sounds familiar? That's from Kol Nidrei. So Kol Nidrei, what's Kol Nidrei? Kol Nidrei is we release our vows. Shvuosana lo Shavuos, our vows are no longer binding and so on. And explain Chassidus, it's a whole Hachana to Yom Kippur. At any rate, so he was playing on the word. Shavuos is in Shavuos. Shavuos, our Shavuos, lo Shavuos. So he said, mainly he said the Bachrim. So they prepared themselves as they should. They learned Chassidus, they daven barichas. But us, Balabatim, Shavuos, lo Shavuos. What was our preparation? We didn't learn enough Chassidus. I'm just translating. We didn't learn enough Chassidus, and we're not immersed in Chassidus as we should be. What kind of davening was our davening? This is Matzoi Shavuos, yes, FARBRENGEN. Shavuos lo Shavuos. Our Shavuos wasn't the Shavuos as it should be, and this was a whole night. He was FARBRENGEN. That's the end of the story, as far as we know it, conveyed by Shlomo Zachi. Adkan. That's the story. That's a story that I got here on the WhatsApp from my friend Yitzchak Tzvi. Said, I'm thinking that Adarabah, in the Peretz is FARBRENGEN, this is Yichud Yilah. Just consider the circumstances here. This is on the heels of the Holocaust, the survivors. So the Russians weren't in. The Chassidim were not for the most part, in the Inferno in Poland, but they were in Samarkand and Tashkent, where people were dying of starvation and under very brutal circumstances, and just survived. And here they are at a DP camp, and what's this Chassid of Peretz Mochkin FARBRENGEN, Shavuos lo Shavuos? You still believe in God, it's an achievement. Shavuos lo Shavuos. So this is Mamish Yichud Yilah. Mamish, the highest level, this whole demand. Despite the reality on the ground, At best, bittul yesh, and it's a terrible yesh. The world is a terrible world then. A broken, shattered world, the last 6 million. It's the reality on the ground. And if a Jew then could still be Yehuda Tata, still acknowledge there's a God and serve Him and still be a firm Jew, that's amazing. It's amazing. And what's his FARBRENGEN? Never mind. FARBRENGEN, but I'm still going to put on tefillin and keep Shabbos. His FARBRENGEN is. Was our davening the level of, as it should be? Where does this come from? Have you even talked about such a thing? The whole night, and he says 50 years later, they remember that memorable FARBRENGEN. 70 years later. Where does this come from? Because Ein Leid Mulvada Yechudi Elo. The emes is that the Eibush is only reality. That's the only place that such a sense, a conversation could even start from. And then the demand, how was our davening, and how did Chassidic, and envy the Bachrim, and you understand the glory, the beauty of this? Such a FARBRENGEN, the deep peak out. Shavuos son lo Shavuos. Ados is Yechudi Ilah. In the Yechudi Ilah, when just coming after the depth of hell, of Gehenna, of a world where God is concealed, that no one could have ever have imagined that they could be concealed and allowed do what would happen. Such a hell of a Hester. And in such a hell of a Hester, what's the chassid? What's his angst? He didn't daven. Was he fully there? Yechudi Ilah, Chassidic, Moishe. So you're looking at an example of what does it mean to fuse Yechudi Ilah with the Tata. That FARBRENGEN. And then it's not that all of us can't help it. You start to learn Chassidic, the whole Chassidic, every page is Yechudi Ilah. That's what it is. And your Levada, which is some reality in the Shamas. You can't help it. You learn it, and it lifts a person. It lifts it and unlocks within him the Pnimis HaNeshama, which does feel. The essence of our Neshama does feel this truth and knows the truth. And every mind we learn, it's stirring and nurturing and giving expression to this, to the depth of our own Neshama, which is Yechudi Ilah, Hashem Lakein, Hashem Echad. Shema Yisrael, a Yid Dafke. A Yid, which is a Chelik, like Mama, she knows Hashem Lakein, Hashem Echad. And this is what we are privileged to be able to learn and to stir and connect to each one on their level. Okay, friends.